Hello and welcome to this month's Made Smarter LinkedIn Live. Today we're diving into the remarkable story of transformation and resilience in British manufacturing. 5 years ago, Made Smarter launched a bold pilot scheme in the northwest of England to empower small and medium-sized enterprises to embrace digital technology and modernise their operations. Through expert guidance, workshops and the support for adopting cutting-edge technologies, the initiative has created a real impact, boosting productivity, securing jobs, and equipping companies to meet the demands of today's economy. Now, with more than 2,000 plus manufacturers engaged and hundreds of new jobs created, the results are quite impressive. But the story doesn't stop there. Made Smarter's success is setting the stage for a national rollout, poised to benefit manufacturing businesses across the whole of the UK. Today, we're joined by Digital Transformation Advisor Will Kinghorn from Made Smarter, who shares some insights into the programme's journey, its impact, and what the future holds for UK manufacturing. Stay with us as we explore how Made Smarter is not only helping businesses survive and thrive, but what it actually means for the future of British industry. Will, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Can we start, just give yourself a bit more of an introduction. What is it that you do, and how long have you been part of the Made Smarter programme?
So I joined Made Smarter in the Northwest about 4 years ago now, and my role is to work directly with the companies, helping them to look at the problems they have and point them towards technologies that may help them with those issues. That could be automation, robotics, it could be software solutions, Internet of Things, anything digital really that we can support with.
Great. And of course, for those watching today, my name is Jonathan Richards. I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes, and I'm the Head of Marketing and External Relations at Made Smarter in the Northwest. So, Will, let's think about impact and the results of those impacts. So, we've got a slide which should give us some numbers that we can discuss. Great. So you can see on this screen, Will, that we've since 2019, the Northwest region has reached over 2,000 businesses. We've created over 500 digital roadmaps. 136 businesses have been given skills and leadership training through our organizational workforce development team. We've supported over 370 digital transformation projects, and monetarily, Made Smarter has deployed in excess of £7 million worth of government money. Just to say that we are a programme that supports that redistributes UK government money for digital transformation projects, and the manufacturing businesses have invested themselves over 25 million. Now, when that boils down into actual hard figures, we can see that we've created over £267 million worth of GVA, and for every £1 of UK invested money, £8 is returned back in terms of improvements of productivity, efficiency, and helping those businesses grow. There's over 1,700 jobs that have been created, and we've upskilled 3,179, just to be specific, of roles in each of those manufacturing businesses that we've been working with. So, Will, if you could just highlight for me a little bit, what is GVA in terms of the discussion that we're having there today?
So GVA is gross value added, and that's the measure that the UK government uses to see how successful different programs are. It's made up of the amount of pre-tax profit from a company. Added to that, it's the salary and wage costs, and then the depreciation costs in a given year. So by increasing GVA, you're seeing companies hire more people, invest in more equipment, and become more profitable. That's what that number's showing.
Great. And I think we've got a document that you can download at a late stage during either this discussion or at the end of the LinkedIn session today. And the white paper mentions that the Northwest manufacturing heritage is one of the reasons why the pilot scheme started in the Northwest. We're also, it's manufacturing deep rooted in the Northwest, and we're a significant contributor to the UK economy. And I think last time I read, there's over 14,500 manufacturing businesses or manufacturing SMEs in the Northwest, and it employs in excess of 320,000 people in the sector. So it was an ideal place to actually test the effectiveness of the digital transformation programme, which was aimed at addressing regional productivity gaps and fostering economic growth. And it's worth pointing out that it's not just the Northwest that now has this programme. It's covering 6 other regions as well in England. We've got some more regions coming on board in 25, 26, and then from 26 onwards, the devolved countries of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland will become part of this programme. But if we just go back a little bit to the sort of genesis and evolution of the programme, since its inception, Made Smart has adapted to meet the sort of evolving needs of SME manufacturers and some of the challenges that we've faced over these 5 years, if we can remember all the way back to Brexit, COVID, and of course, more recently, the rising energy prices. Will, can you sort of give us a bit of an oversight from an advisor's perspective on how you've seen the program change and the types of things that your clients are experiencing at the moment?
Yeah, so I guess right at the start, the focus was just on technology. So introducing companies to things like robotics or new software systems. I think right from the start, we realized that the people side of things is very, very important. So that shaped our workforce development support. So we now have dedicated advisors to help with the people side of adopting technology. After that, probably COVID was the big kind of story, I suppose, and we continued to run workshops online. So we would do them over Teams, talking to companies, still diagnosing their problems and helping them get in touch with advisors remotely and help with the grant funding that way. More recently, obviously, we're back in person, so we can go and visit again. Now we're seeing the kind of the result of all the issues that you've mentioned in terms of rising energy costs, material costs, supply chain disruption.
Yeah.
There's a load of headwinds that companies are facing that we're helping the companies address through either technology or helping with the people development side of things.
And I think that's a good point. I think that we're quite a dynamic program from that perspective. So, we work, to support SME manufacturers through digital transformation in whatever form that might take, and with whatever issues that they might face in their sort of daily lives as manufacturers. Generally, let's take some time just at the moment now to have a little listen to, not in our words, but in the words of an organisation that we've worked with, a company called Storth Engineering, who are a leading manufacturer of slurry handling equipment.
Our journey with Made Smarter started just before lockdown, when we were exploring the idea of improving our production by using robot welders. So we applied for a grant with Made Smarter. Did a digital workshop with them to analyse our needs and what would work the best. And just before lockdown, got the first robot welder, which is working behind me. Originally, we would have 2 or 3 welders doing fairly boring jobs of welding in straight lines, and that work is now done by the robot welder. And those welders have been able to be put onto harder machines, which also got a higher value. And we've also been able to upskill a couple of workers, warehouse workers who've now gone into production, who are looking after the robot welders, or operating them. The immediate effect actually in lockdown, where we found we lost a lot of our workers, but it coincided with a robot welder appearing. And that robot welder did the work of 2 welders. Since lockdown, obviously the worker numbers have gone back up to normal levels. So we've actually increased our productivity, which has come in at a very good time for us, since demand has just shot through the roof. Digitalisation is actually very important. It is the future. We're also competing against other companies worldwide who are embracing that change. At a time in the UK where there is a shortage of workers, we really have to get as much productivity out of the workers as we can, and obviously upskill them so that instead of doing repetitive, boring jobs, they can either be operating the machines that do the repetitive jobs for them, or more interesting jobs in terms of just sheer technical skill.
Fantastic, and that was quite a few interesting points and comments raised there from the team at Storth Engineering. Will, the next area I want to just talk on is about SME engagement and the types of technology that we often see being deployed in our region. I think on one of the earlier slides we were talking about there's been over 2,000 SME businesses engaged and over 370 technology projects supported. From your perspective, what are some of the more notable trends in the kinds of projects SMEs are pursuing through Made Smarter?
So I think the common theme over the last 4 years while I've been here is that the software systems has been the most popular. So every year we've run the program, it's always just over half of the projects we fund are software systems. That might be something like order management software or production planning. It could be a full-scale enterprise resource planning software, just something to bring the data from the business together to help improve decision making. That's by far the most common. After that, we get on to things like robotics and automation, so looking at the physical production of the products and how that can be improved. So like we saw in the Storth video, it's using automation to free up people's time to do things that are more complex or to produce more products with the same number of people. And then more recently, it's been things like industrial Internet of Things, so gathering more data from around the business through the use of sensors on equipment, and 3D printing or additive manufacture is often discussed as well as a kind of new way of either creating prototypes or creating functional products as well. So there's quite a range, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there isn't one project that fits all, though, is it? I think this is what we're seeing. It's depending on where a business is in its digital transformation journey. It really depends on the type of technology, and it's not all about deploying a robot, as some businesses might want to rush out and procure a technology from that perspective. We've really got to get back to the basics, and I suppose that's where the digital transformation workshop and our support comes into it, in terms of us maybe customizing some of those that part of the process. So before we listen to Rod Wah and the team at Beverston Engineering, who are based in Knowsley, they're an aerospace business, and I think they're going to talk about an ERP system that Made Smart is supported them on. The question that I want you to consider, Will, before when we come back from that, is that in terms of digital transformation workshops, that's been an integral part of our program. So what do you think typically SMEs gain from these workshops, and how can they prepare for the long-term success? But before you answer that question, let's watch that video.
When I first took over Beverston Engineering, there was no computers, no digital world, no mobile phones, nothing like that. Machines were manual. Made Smarter helped us, financed us and guided us on what we should do to start our digitisation project. The project was about connecting our machines up to our enterprise resource planning system, Epicor, and giving it live information of what was happening on the shop floor with those machines at that particular time. Working with Made Smarter was quite an easy process. Obviously, we had to go through a series of interviews and them looking at us to see if the project was worthwhile. They were obviously very interested in what we were doing. My initial reaction to digitisation was, well, I don't think it's going to be for Beverston. But the more I looked into it, and people like Made Smarter make you look into more detail about what you could be doing within your industry, a realisation takes over that this is what you should be doing within your company. And they help you achieve that by guiding you. They've got experts that will show you the way and give you ideas for your company. I would recommend people, anybody, any manufacturer, to get in touch with Made Smarter.
So there we go. Thanks, Rod. That was quite an interesting discussion there from Rod. Well, back to that question, digital transformation workshops. They're an integral part. In fact, they're a requirement of our program in terms of before you can get a grant or support with an SME. So what typically do those businesses gain from these workshops, and how do you think they can prepare for that long-term success?
So the workshop is our way of understanding the business, understanding what their aims and ambitions are, what their problems they're facing are, how they make their products, how they sell them. It's getting into the details of how the business operates. The day itself, or the 2-hour session that we have, sometimes we've seen companies share insights within themselves in terms of identifying potential solutions there and then. But often it's the feedback that we give after that, where we create the roadmap. We look at all the information that we've gathered in the workshop, and we lay it out in terms of these are the appropriate training courses that might be suitable for you, or this is the appropriate technology, or these are the sort of approaches you could take with change management with your team. It's really personalized to the company to say this is where you want to be. These are the steps that we recommend to get you started with technology and to kind of help develop the business.
Great, and I think it's worth just pointing out as well that the workshops are, they're customizable, so that every workshop might be slightly different from. Obviously, we follow a logical process and a step-by-step process in that perspective. But it's 2 hours typically in terms of that initial workshop with an organisation. So not too onerous, but obviously, a business will need to prepare for that workshop and involve the relevant people as part of the organisation in that. And at that point, obviously, we once we've done that roadmap with them, we can give them clear and a simple, as you say, a simple step-by-step plan tailored to their own unique challenges. And obviously, we can suggest some practical solutions at that particular point. And they can stop at that point, can't they? They don't need to continue on to a grant. They might take some time after that workshop to consider what they want to do next. Another area that we support within the program is the skills development and leadership support in terms of organizational workforce development, and some of the programs that we run in support of that. And we've created in excess of 100 digital leaders and trained many more in the technologies that we've brought on board. How do you think these skills and initiatives help build more resilient and a more adaptive workforce within the SME?
So there are two main training courses that we operate, and the first one is aimed at senior leaders in the business. That's leading digital transformations. That's looking at the strategy of the business, how to approach change management, that kind of thing from a leadership point of view. The second one is leading change for digital champions, and that's aimed at the team leader level. So people who are maybe new to management or aspiring to management, and that's looking at leadership styles, awareness of digital technologies and how they can be used, and more change management, I suppose, to help their colleagues adopt a technology and make the most of it. So there's two different courses that we operate, and I think it's very important for companies to kind of engage in both sides of things, so that where we see more success is where the company and the employees are all kind of moving in the same direction. They understand the vision, they understand where the company needs to be in 2 or 3 years' time, and why they're looking at new software or new automation or whatever it might be. They understand that, and they're engaged with it, and they embrace it, and they do that through courses like these, because it's a lot of the time it's new for the company, it's new for the people that work there. So it's really a great help to kind of guide the workforce through those challenges.
Excellent. And while we consider what you've just said there, let's go and watch another clip. This time it's from Logs Direct. They're a kiln dried wood manufacturer, I think it's safe to say, up in Cumbria, and they'll be talking about how that new technology has helped them keep up with demand.
Logs Direct were looking for ways in which we could develop to do more kiln drying wood. We'd already created some of our own kilns, but we wanted better technology. Rather than just drying wood, we wanted to understand how we're drying wood, how we can make it more efficient, how we can actually get quicker at drying. We needed technology. We came across Made Smarter, and they helped us on the journey. We've had a great experience with Made Smarter. They came along on site, they talked to us, they tried to understand where we were and understand if what they had would be something that would help us. We desperately needed more drying capacity, and the technology we put in that kiln now has made a huge difference to the business. For a number of years now, we've had lots of pens and papers, we've had lots of pads where we're writing down the figures of when logs go in to kilns, understanding how long it takes, the moisture contents when they go in. We're now able to have that all recorded for us, downloadable, so that we can actually start to understand each species in the kiln, their drying cycles, and the efficiency of the kiln working with that particular species. The business keeps growing. The demand for UK kiln-dried wood continues to rise, and we're going to respond to that.
Great. Will, let's now think a little bit about job creation and upskilling. So we've seen in Made Smarter the projects have been forecast to create in excess of 1,500 new jobs, and it's upskill over 2,800 roles across the region. What kinds of roles are emerging from these transformations, and how do we think these new skills will be benefiting both the companies and those individuals employed?
So a lot of the time it's creation of more similar jobs, I suppose. I think if you look at automation, it means that people who were doing a manual task can now focus on more value add tasks and more interesting tasks, so that their kind of fulfillment of the job is more interesting. Because the machines can produce more, you're probably looking at increasing number of sales staff or number of people in distribution and other areas of the business to support that increase in production. In some cases, we see something related to the technology. So if you're bringing in additive manufacture, you're going to need to expand the kind of design side of things. So people who are skilled in computer-aided design, software and things like that, you're bringing those skills into the business to support that new technology and make the most of it. So it's a bit of a mix. Sometimes it's not directly related to the actual production, but a lot of it's the kind of supporting areas of the business, recruiting more people and bringing new skills in related to the technology, like data analysis maybe, or CAD, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Should we have another clip? This time it's from a company called Berry Black Pudding. They're a traditional manufacturer of traditional black puddings, funnily enough, and lo and behold, they're based in Bury, clues in the name. And they're going to be talking a little bit about the benefits of digital transformation in terms of efficiency and having more data on the business, and how that's helped their business grow and support their employees with growing as well.
By adopting digital technology with the support of Made Smarter, it meant that we installed a full robotic line for moving a bulk product, and that's where the business growth was, to the point where it actually now performs better than the humans that were doing it before, our operatives. It means that those people now are free to do other better value jobs, which is great for their career paths and for the business. But also it means that the automated line is industry 4, but the harvesting of the data through the PLC technology meant it could go onto our servers, and now we can look at data which give us the livestock counts on it, and also provision of yields, and now we could better get efficiencies, so just generally increase yields. It also gave us the connection of the new PLC electronic boards speaking to each other, so we've become that interconnected factory.
Okay, we're drawing to a bit of a close now in terms of time. I'm quite conscious that we've only got 30 minutes for today's session. I want to think a little bit more, Will, about the ripple effect and the regional economy. So, in terms of the broader economic effects, how do you think we've seen SMEs adopt new technologies and increase productivity in the Northwest?
in a variety of ways, I suppose. Like I said before, it depends on the technology. So you would see an increase in productivity through better data management, better order management. Automation can improve quality, can improve production rates, and employing more staff in different roles as well can help with that as well. So it affects quite a large proportion of the industry. And if you're buying more products, it obviously affects the supply chain as well. And often smaller companies do use local suppliers, so they're looking at increased sales for the local area as well. So there is a ripple effect throughout the supply chain and through the community as well.
Yeah, I think what we've seen over the past 5 years is that ripple effect, as we called it, is quite significant. Certainly when an SME adopts through us or is inspired to adopt new technology, they obviously become more competitive in themselves. And obviously with our support, we can help and guide them and encourage them to adopt new technology and new processes. That in effect then, in its literal terms, attracts more clients from their perspective. That drives more demand in their organization. And as you say, that stimulates the local supply chain network, in the SME, but also with larger organizations that can support their own supply chain network with digital transformation projects, or raise awareness of the Made Smarter program. If you fall outside of the criteria that we can help you with, then certainly you must know other businesses in your supply chain network or on your industrial estate that may well benefit from our program. And this ultimately, again, creates new jobs. And I suppose it just comes back to that point of reinforcing the Northwest's economy and its reputation as being a manufacturing hub. And that's something that we're seeing across all the different regions involved in the Made Smarter program, is that their regional economies are growing as a result of their businesses becoming more competitive, more efficient, and therefore are able to create more roles or more opportunity for their workforce. And all this comes back to the Made Smarter program, or one of the programs of which Made Smarter is fortunate to be able to support on. I think if we just think about the future now, with the nationwide rollout planned, certainly within England from April next year, what lessons do you think from the Northwest pilot do you think will influence how Made Smarter supports SMEs across the UK?
I think the biggest one is the people side of business. I think the support, I suppose, is making sure that the workforce understands where you're going as a company, what the objectives are. You get their feedback on the technologies or the options and the approaches, because that makes it much more likely to succeed, rather than wheeling in a new machine and saying, right, we're using this today and no one knows what it is. It's better to engage them from the start, get them involved and trying things out. I think that's the biggest kind of lesson learned, I suppose, is that workforce development support, helping to upskill the leaders, be that production leader level or the senior leader level, and engage the workforce in what you're doing. I think that's probably the big thing to focus on.
Yeah, sure. And I think just, as we sort of round off, I can't help but reflect on the future and technology, or reflect how, consider the future rather than reflect on it. And actually, how do you think Made Smart is going to intend to support the more advanced technologies that we're starting to see develop? The likes of AI, for example. We're seeing massive strides from that perspective with ChatGPT and other large language models. Additive manufacturing is becoming more and more to the fore, and the industrial Internet of Things. As the program evolves, how do you see Made Smarter supporting on those more advanced, newer technologies?
In the same way, really. I mean, we've still got the kind of specialist advice in those technologies that we can provide. With things like AI being in the media more often, we do see a lot more companies asking about it, saying, how do we get started with it, and where is it appropriate for us? So yes, certainly we are getting more questions about that. The Internet of Things is a great starting point for sustainability. So that's going to be a big driver for a lot of companies to look at new technologies to understand their energy use or the waste, or how they can improve their productivity by using less. So I think that there's sort of things that people will start to come to us to ask about, and we'll continue to support.
So as we finish off on today's session, and again, thank you very much for joining me today to discuss the impact of Made Smarter. For those SMEs on the fence about digital transformation, what do you think we should say are the key lessons or the key reasons to consider engaging with Made Smarter?
I would probably controversially say don't think about digital transformation. I think that sounds like a massive undertaking. I would think about one or two issues that are affecting you and look for a technology. So start small, try it out, see what works, see what doesn't, rather than taking a big jump into digitalizing absolutely everything. Just pick one or two areas and try that out first, and take it step by step and learn from it.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Well, I've been Jonathan Richards. This has been LinkedIn Live for Made Smarter. I think what we're going to do as well to finish off is to listen to another business that has been very supportive of Made Smarter, and that's a company called Brainboxes. They're an electronics manufacturer based in Liverpool. And I think we're going to hear from them in terms of what the benefits of working with Made Smarter have been for them. And we'll finish on their words, because it's in the words of our clients that's important. We can tell you how great the program is, but let's listen to Brainboxes. And after that, we'll see you next time on LinkedIn Live for Made Smarter in 1 month's time. Thanks very much.
So people ask me what the single biggest benefit is from working with Made Smarter. I would actually say there's a host of benefits. So the first one is the knowledge they bring to your business. The second one is other companies they can link you up to, so you can share your experiences with them and you can tap into local knowledge and local expertise that you wouldn't otherwise be aware of. And then the third area is exposure beyond the borders of your normal area. So Made Smarter can expose you to other companies, to other businesses within the UK and beyond. And those three things are key for our business to grow.